All right, hello, welcome back. This is the second part of Unit 5. And in the first part, we took a look at some modal verbs and we looked at some examples. I left you an exercise in the description of the video so that you could do and practice. And now it's time to take a look at the other part of grammar. So the second part of grammar is something that we call first conditional. Now, first conditional shouldn't be new to you because we learned about it during Life 3 last year, okay? So let's just review a little bit about first conditional. So the first conditional is used to talk about things which might happen in the future, okay? There's always a possibility of it happening in the future. Of course, like I always say, we can't know exactly what will happen in the future, but this describes possible things which could easily come true, okay? Some examples of first conditional sentences are, if it rains, I won't go to the park. It's even like an obvious remark, okay? Like an obvious sentence. If I study today, I'll go to the party tonight. If I have enough money, I'll buy some new shoes. Okay, so if you see here, there's always a very common structure or a very common element in all of these sentences, and it's the presence of if in one part of the sentence, and in the other part of the sentence, divided by this comma, we have a form of the verb will. Okay, so it's always a part with if and another part with will. Now, what about this? Because of the name, okay, first conditional, we know that there is obviously some type of condition. So the thing with these sentences is that you are always going to write a condition, and then the idea is that if that condition happens, if it comes true, then the result will happen. The possible result that you chose or that you wrote will probably happen. So for example, if it rains tomorrow or if it rains later, I won't go to the park. But if it doesn't rain, then maybe I will go to the park. Okay? So the result will always depend on the condition. If it rains, this will happen. But if it doesn't rain, something different will probably happen. If I study today, I'll go to the party tonight. But if I don't study, then I probably won't go to the party. If I have enough money, I'll buy some new shoes. But if I don't have enough money, well, obviously I won't buy the shoes because I won't have enough money. So there's always a condition and a possible result. Now, about this structure, let's see, we have the following. To make a sentence in the first conditional, we use if plus present simple plus will or won't, depending on what you want to say, and another verb. So if we follow this structure, we have sentences like, if I pass this exam, I will celebrate. Or again, if I pass this exam, I won't have to do it again. Okay, so we have a form of will and a form of won't. We can also use the present simple in negative. So if I don't pass this exam, what could be a good possibility? My parents will tell me off, which is regañar. Okay, my parents will tell me off. So we can definitely also put our condition, our if sentence in negative. There's also no specific rule as to negative and affirmative parts. So I can have, for example, I can have affirmative, I can have here an affirmative. This is also affirmative, this is negative, this is negative, this is affirmative. Let's make one with double negative. Let's see. Just so that you can see. If I don't pass this exam, I won't go to the party. So here we have a negative condition with a negative result. Okay, so these combinations are all possible and it all depends on what you want to say. There are no limits. except grammar-wise, if you need to follow the grammar rules. But in terms of ideas, you can put whatever you want. We can also invert this structure, okay? So I can put will plus verb first, and then having my if part. I will celebrate if I pass this exam. Let's put it with another color. I will celebrate if I pass this exam. I won't have to do this exam again if I pass it. Okay, and the same can be done with all the previous sentences. Now, the difference though between this one and this one is one very tiny little element, which is this comma. If I start, this is very important. If I start my sentence with if, I have to put a comma before my following subject. If I pass my exam, subject, I will celebrate. If I pass this exam, comma, subject. But if I invert it, that doesn't happen. I just finish my my first part, and then I immediately begin with if. Okay, so when we start the sentence with if, there's a comma in between the sentences. When we put the if in the middle, the word if is like our divider, so there's no need for a comma. All right. And we also have some other structures that we can use with the first conditional structure. Let's see, we have the phrases when, as soon as, unless, until, and before. So all of these can be used here, and they replace, right? They replace the word if. So we don't write if anymore in these sentences, not because it is incorrect, but because these sentences, or these phrases rather, they take its place. So it's not necessary when we already have one of these. Let's take a look at some examples. Okay, for example, for example, when you arrive, we will have dinner. So we already have a condition of another person arriving before they can have dinner. So when you arrive, when that condition becomes true, then we will have dinner. As soon as the new game is out, I'll buy it. So once this happens, this will be the result. Unless you work hard, you won't achieve your goals. Unless is like a negative condition, right? Unless you work hard. It would be the equivalent to if you don't. Okay, so here we could say, if you don't work hard, you won't achieve your goals. So you see, it's just like a negative condition. We also have, until you finish your homework, you won't play video games, right? So only when this happens, until you finish your homework, you won't play video games, hasta que termines tu tarea. And before you go, clean your room. Okay, so before, right before you go, or before you can do the other action, before you do this, clean your room. Those are just some examples of how we can use these structures. Okay, and to practice, I'll leave you this exercise. You have to complete these sentences with the first conditional structure. You can use your own imagination. For example, if we don't arrive on time, our teacher will be angry. Or if we don't arrive on time, we won't eat lunch. Or if we don't arrive on time, something bad will happen. I will watch TV if I have time. I will watch TV if my favorite show is on. I will watch TV if I finish my homework. Or you can also use the other words. I will watch TV until I have time, or until I finish my homework. So you can definitely use different combinations. Okay, so that will be your task for this video. I hope that you found it useful, that you can practice a little bit with this exercise. And if there are any other questions, I'll see you soon in class. Bye-bye.